face and just get out of mind.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the 7th episode of the On Blast Show. JamessMK here. You got DarKNaTaS with me. Say hello, DarKNaTaS.
What's up, guys?
Everybody, I'm going to start the show out today with a big shout out to Mr. Pig the Hut for winning the MLG tournament with Kenshi. Also, want to give a shout out to J360, and we'll get into it a little bit later. But J360 won the first annual OBS drinking contest. Basically, today we got a special guest. Obviously, everybody has tweeted me a million questions for him today. Before we get to him, I'm going to let DarKNaTaS get out a couple of shout-outs to people. And I want to just let a couple of people know that they are now OBS. Vincent Gayadine down in Trinidad, OBS Phoenix. I got OBS Trusted Me from the UK, OBS Flippin' Flavor, OBS Some Cuban Guy, OBS Vito, OBS Zaggy, OBS Cookies, OBS Sow87 out in Arizona, and I have one other guest who will be with us later tonight, goes by the name OBS Check. George, if you have anything to add.
All right, guys. Today's a little different on the format we're going to be doing over here. We do have a special guest over here, which obviously you guys can see on the stream right there. We will be taking your questions, but I'm not going to be reading out the usual questions from the trolls and stuff like that. We are looking for serious questions, no obscene kind of questions, stuff like that. This is going to be a little bit mature interview over here. So, guys, if you can, send your questions over to the On Blast Show on Twitter. Send us your questions. I already gotten numerous questions even before that show has started. We have a lot of questions, from the viewers to be asked. But guys, if you have any more questions, send it over. Let us know. Also, check us out on our YouTube page. Subscribe to us on the On Blast Show 2012 on YouTube. Also, visit our sponsor, Trip Sessions Media Group on Facebook. Click, like them. They're the guys who do our music and videos and shirts and all that other stuff that's getting out there. Also, guys, if you want to be on future episodes of the show, hit me or James up. Let us know. Tell us your story. Let us know what's going on. And we'll try to get you on a future edition of the show. With that, I'll give it back to James.
Okay, guys. Pretty much, you guys already know from the tweets who we got. This person pretty much, in my eyes, epitomized what Mortal Kombat 92 was. He played all characters from Johnny Cage, Scorpion, Sub-Zero. He's the real deal. If there's somebody out there that I don't want to mess with in an alley, it's probably him. Without further ado, I want to introduce you guys to Daniel Pesina. Daniel?
Hey, how's everyone doing? Daniel Pesina, Johnny Cage.
So let me start. Well, obviously, I already ran through a quick rundown. What characters have you played? Obviously, we know Cage. What other characters have you played in the Mortal Kombat franchise?
Johnny Cage, the first character in MK, the father of them all. Naturally, he took the longest to shoot, and then we planned on doing Scorpion first, so we did Scorpion, and later that steamrolled into Sub-Zero and Reptile, and they borrowed the image for other of the ninjas.
Do you play the game at all still, or is it something that kind of gets a little dusty as the years have gone on?
Yeah, I don't play it often. Actually, I'm into first-person shooters. I like the shooting games. The martial art games are, because I do it for a living, are not realistic enough for me.
Well, I mean, I got to say, with the resurgence of with MK after the 3D games, with MK9 coming out, Johnny Cage has become back to being one of the most popular characters again. He kind of faded away a little bit in the middle there, but pretty much I'm going to give a shout out to GGA Dizzy, who is pretty much considered one of, if not the best, Johnny Cage players. He's out in Chicago there at Galloping Ghosts.
Oh yeah.
Um, he definitely says you're an inspiration to him. Um, now let me ask you this: as far as you with actual martial arts, what styles do you do? How long have you been taking it? Give us a rundown, basically, of all your martial arts, if you could.
Yeah, just briefly, I started out in 1971, way back in the day. I did judo and Shotokan karate for about 4 years. Then, with the whole kung fu movement, I started doing kung fu from that, from about 75 till present. I still practice and I still try to. My master is in China, so get a chance to go and see him whenever I can.
Do you 71? Wow, you know what? I got to admit something. I was only 1 year old.
Oh, ouch!
That actually feels good to not be the oldest one around for a change. All right, so now these days, what are you doing as far as the martial arts go? I mean, I don't know if you're involved in any games anymore, or are you currently still competing, or?
No, I don't compete anymore. Naturally, I have my own practice. I own a martial arts school, Chicago Wushu. It's in Chicago, but yeah, teach full time. Bunch of my students do the games now, the Mortal Kombat games, the motion capture. My brother does a lot. So does Rick Amira. I have a student, Peck, Spin. They all do the fighting games now.
During the early days of Mortal Kombat, there was a little controversy with you with the game Bloodstorm. Did the game? I don't even know if the game actually hit the market. What exactly was it that, or should I say, was it or was it not? Was there truth to? I guess you posed as Johnny Cage in an advertisement or something.
Yeah, yeah. Well, at that time, Hero for Hire. They hired me to do this ad. They paid pretty good. I only worked like 2 or 3 hours. It was crazy dollars. So yeah, I did an ad for them, and naturally, because when we film Mortal Kombat, it's actually video footage, and then they cut that and pixelate it and put it into the game. But it's basically me. So I was, I guess, the easiest to recognize. So I got hired to do that ad.
George, you got some questions from people? I don't want to hog up all my questions.
Wow. Where do it start? Whew. There's a lot of questions, man.
That's awesome.
All right. I'm trying to. Let me see. Let me get a good question here. All right. This is from OBS Original Razor. He asks, I read from the old magazine's interviews that you were the one who came up with the idea of Scorpion Spear, which was based on the rope dart weapon. Can you go into more detail about this and some other things you might have came up with?
Yeah, the rope dart is it's an old weapon, usually used to pull a rider off a horse. So it's basically maybe a 30-foot leather cord attached to a spearhead, and you wrap it around your body in a certain way, and it comes out pretty forceful and quick. So yeah, I did that, and working on the game, they let us create different moves for each character, and since I was there for mostly everyone's character shooting, I got a little bit of input on everyone.
All right. Next question. From Mr. Anon. He asks, what's your favorite martial arts movie?
Wow. What's my favorite? I am going to say the Seven Samurai. It's that old martial art black and white samurai movie. When it first came out, just blew my mind that these guys were really tough and kind of just not afraid to die. kind of like that song, Johnny Cage is Not Afraid to Die. So that would tie into there.
All right. All right. Next question here. This one is from. All right. This is from Original Razor again. He asks us, I heard there was a little bit of jealousy when you were not picked to play Johnny Cage in the MK movie. Could you shed some light on the subject?
Well, yeah. At the time, we were asked to, we filmed some stuff for the producer of the movie, and it was kind of not. We thought we would be in the movie, but in the end, they wanted to take it a different direction. I can understand why. It's kind of like Adam West as Batman. You don't want the same guy. You can't control the character, or commercialize it as well if it's associated with some person. So yeah, at the time, you get a little mad, but that's all water under the bridge.
All right. Let's see. I got a question from OBS Salavia. He asks, have you ever actually nut punched someone?
Yes. Yes, it actually works.
It actually works. Wow. Can you go into detail on the technique that it involves with trying to actually make that work correctly?
Well, if you're using it for close in combat and the guy is trying to get you in some kind of joint lock or hold, if you're flexible enough to drop down quickly, their groin area is pretty exposed. You could give them a good smash.
No wonder that move's so cheesy in the game.
Yeah.
It leaves the character very disabled in MK9.
Yeah.
Let's see here. What else I got? This was from. Oh, this is a little too much here to ask. Okay.
Yeah, guys guys, questions you're gonna ask, I tell everybody there ain't no censorship here, but we gotta be civil at the same time, only because we have adults here now.
Yeah, old adults.
Yeah. I didn't say that.
James, you were thinking that.
I got and I started to ask it to you earlier. So you're the oldest out of all the brothers. How many brothers are there, and how many of you guys are martial artists?
Actually, there's I have 4 brothers, and my youngest brother and I do martial arts. The other brother is kind of like, that's the whole story of how I got into it. My other brothers were doing martial arts, and I wanted to do it, but at the time, only 2 can take it. So I bugged my dad forever, and he finally took me in to take martial arts. The other 2 quit right away. So he was like, I'm going to take this guy in. He's going to last a week or 2, and that's going to be it. I don't have to drag his ass to class. But I just stuck with it.
Now, you born and raised Chicago?
Yeah, born and raised Chicago.
The mean streets or the okay streets? Were you a fighter growing up, or?
You know what? Medium. I've been in a few brawls.
Yeah, I think we all have.
Right?
But, so now, I asked this to you earlier, in a fight, who won out of all the brothers, but I got the answer, but you know what? I guarantee you Carlos will listen to this with the NRS guys, so let you reiterate who's the dominant one in the family.
In the MK family, I would be the dominant one. Yeah, hands down, you can ask any of them. If it came to the real deal, yep.
See, now I actually, before I went to the show, I went and I was watching the dart video thing. Oh, I got to say, man, that's, even in the training video, you make it look almost impossible.
Oh, thanks. Yeah.
George, got more?
Yeah. All right. Let's see. I got another one from Original Razor here. He got some very interesting questions. That's what I like about him.
Questions, so let him keep going.
All right. Were you approached by Richard DeVizio or Hosung Pak about being involved in the Book of Swords?
Actually, that's Ho Sung's movie. He produced it and starred in it. And he approached both Rich and I, we're a pretty tight group. So yeah, he would wanted us to be in his movie, and we were like, heck yeah.
And you were a foot soldier in the Turtles, correct?
Yes.
Just so all you, I know they're doing or they were talking about doing a remake of the movie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but I heard it was nothing to do with like turtles in the sewer, like they're aliens or something. But needless to say, he was in the Mutant Ninja Turtle movie, guys.
I got more questions.
Go ahead.
All right, from Mike Metroid, he asks, "What was the hardest move for you to perform for the MK cameras?"
The hardest move to perform was when we shot the side of the video game. They were using a photographer, and I think he was used to a different type of action. And they wanted you to stand perfectly still and jump up in the air and do the sidekick. If everybody remembers, on the side of the first game is me doing a sidekick. So after jumping up in the air about 50 times, getting exhausted because it's on concrete, I looked over and they were using some staircase for a different video game. And I was like, you know what? Can I just sit on this, do a sidekick on the stairs, and just cut out the stairs and it'll look like I'm doing a sidekick. So that would be the hardest thing that they made me do.
Okay.
Yeah, all the falling, we fell on concrete, but I was already used to that. That was no big deal. But, standing in place and doing the same kick over and over about 50 times was aggravating.
What other games have you been involved in?
Well, MK2, Hosun came up a couple of games, but nothing ever came to them, like game for Jaguar.
That's right. I remember that. That was
Yeah.
it was you. It was you, him, and somebody else, right? One of the girls.
Yeah, like Catalin and even Philip on.
Yeah,
He was there, yeah.
I remember that. It was a dead system. I can't believe I actually bought a Jaguar.
Oh, ouch.
So I mean, pretty much, you are still in contact with everybody. I mean, did you guys all meet from working out together or studying together, or how did the majority of you guys get together?
Well, yeah, we're all Kung Fu brothers, and it's like a Kung Fu family. We worked out with each other like crazy, and then I was working at health club, and then they asked, "Hey, can you find somebody who does this?" Or that they were looking for a bodybuilder guy, so I got John Parrish, and they were looking for, "Hey, we need a female character." Who does a little bit of acrobatics and some kicking, and I got Liz Malecki and later on Cadlin. I got them all from one place.
Does Liz? From what I heard, and this is rumor. I mean, I don't want you to answer for her, but I heard she kind of in the beginning didn't know the game was going to be violent. Is what I was told. That when she found out it was violent, she kind of wanted to separate herself from it. Is there truth to that?
I would disagree with that.
Okay.
We all, it was an arcade game. We knew how, once it started going, after initially I saw Johnny Cage knock his own head off, and the blood coming out, we all knew what it was.
And when you guys realize it's got to be pretty. I mean, I was putting NBA jams just ahead at one time, but to have my whole person in a game, and it's got to be kind of a trip, to see yourself in a game and to see yourself immortalized. Basically, I mean, whether it be Lindsay Ashby in the movie or not, they're really portraying him after you.
Yeah. It was like I said. The hard part was one time when John Tobias brought me in to see, this is what we're doing with the game, and I saw the fatality because I was the only character done. It was like my head got knocked off, and it looked pretty real. I was just kind of shocked. I was just like, I don't know if I like this. It was kind of cool, but it's like I kind of killed myself.
Well, I mean, it's. I mean, like I said, to the people that are in here right now, I mean, I can say hands down, they, you know, just even to have you come and talk to these guys mean a lot. I mean, they've, all day we've been tweeting it out there, getting it out there, and literally these
All
people,
day, the
yeah,
past since the weekend.
yeah. Well, I mean, I tried to keep it under wraps as much as possible. I mean,
Yeah, we made the big announcement pretty much on Monday evenings when we pretty much put everything out there and everybody started hearing about it.
Yeah, I appreciate them. They're they made the game really. I sure I did the moves, but they're the ones who made it popular by dumping the quarters in it and later on buying the game systems to support it. They pretty much did right by me.
I'm gonna. What I'm gonna do right now is I'm gonna throw a link up to your studio for everybody. So anybody that's in the Chicago area that thinks they might want to study, which let me before I go to it. I mean, obviously wushu. I've known that, but what styles can they learn in your school? And where is it? Roundabout. And everybody else can check out the site also, which I'm going to throw up.
I just threw it up.
Did you? Okay, I'm going to.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. I'm going to actually throw it up on the screen too.
Thanks.
Let's get that up there. And all right, everybody, if you want to go and sign up for classes and actually study with the real deal Johnny Cage, it's ChicagoWushu.com. He's got classes, I mean, for anywhere from beginner to obviously advanced. You'll learn the nut punch somewhere along the line in there too, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah, heck yeah.
I'm also, while I got that up there, I'm going to give you a demo of Johnny Cage with the two-handed straight sword in competition in China that you guys can check out.
Cool.
And basically, guys, this is this is the real deal. This isn't the video game, and that's something that you guys should understand, that it's called an art for a reason.
Yeah, I bet that brings back some memories to you right there, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was, where was that? That was in China, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was in Beijing, like 2002, I think it was. Which was also a long time ago.
Nah, don't say that. Wasn't that long ago.
Yeah, it really wasn't.
I was only 12.
Yeah, I like to kid around with that stuff.
But yeah, so pretty much, guys, if you want to sign up, go there to the page. George, put that link in there again for people.
I just did.
Here we go. I got Zato 1984 wants to know: were there any moves or that you had performed in the game that you thought like were way cool and that got cut out of the game?
Actually, yeah. It's funny. There is when we filmed Johnny Cage, there was about they don't leave the camera running all the time because we wanted to save on film, on actually video film. So they would turn it off. But we did about 2 or 3 hours worth of shooting, and then about a month later, they called me again because someone had erased it. So we had to like recreate a whole, something. We would try to remember what we did and try to recreate it. But yeah, they had openings, where your character got to do like a bunch of moves before when you picked them instead of just a picture. You got some action shots. And also they gave us free reign too to do some other things like that when you win to make them a little more complicated, and just time made them cut out stuff, and it happens.
Yeah, unfortunately, in the game development world, you're on a strict budget, and what a lot of people don't want to understand sometimes, and I hate to say it, coming from working at Acclaim for years, you're under the investor's thumb, and he says you got 6 months to do it. Unfortunately, you got to bum rush and stuff. You're going to wind up losing stuff. But George, you got more questions?
Oh, sure do. All right, next question here. This is from Original Razor again.
Wow.
He asks, your favorite memory from working with Midway, Boone, and Tobias at MK1, and do you still keep in touch with John, Ed, and your brother Carlos?
My favorite, I have a bunch of favorite moments with those guys. During filming, because we would have to, sometimes we'd have to sit around and think of an idea when we were actually filming. We used to just goof around and all the time John Tobias was there. But at one point, Ed would have to, he'd be working on the game from his office and doing stuff, and we would always invite him in so that way he would buy us dinner. So it became a big joke that he used to walk in and said, what, you guys called me so I could buy you guys dinner? And we would goof around and say that. But yeah, keep in touch with those guys. Those guys are awesome, man.
All right. Next question here is from Macewin. What do you think of the latest installment of MK?
I like the artwork. I think it naturally, my point of view, it could use a little overhaul with some of the action. But I don't know if technology could handle like recreating it. They tried to do an HD version, and it turned out not as good as the original version, which we did on like a high-8 camera, basically.
Would you like to see your opinion? And I get slack from everybody for this because they always ask me what's my favorite version, and I gotta say the original. And I look at the high-8 cam, and I say, with the technology today, that could have been even more crisper and more realistic now. With say like with the new digital format that's out there. Do you prefer the painted look or the real look?
Well, yeah, I like the classic look, and again, just this year they tried to redo it in HD, and it just didn't work out. They couldn't recreate the magic. It just. We had a tight group back then, and I think we fed off each other's energy and recreated something that is hard to reproduce. So yeah, I would go with the old classic MK.
See, now we're both showing our age. George.
All right. I got another question from Original Razor. He's got a lot of good questions. That's why I'm reading a lot of his questions here. He asks, any crazy MK fan encounters, and what's the most memorable?
MK, yeah, a couple of really crazy. James worked for Acclaim, so one time Acclaim hired me to go to England, and they had me in the Johnny Cage outfit in the middle of like a mall in front of a store promoting the game, and we're doing postures, doing the kung fu stuff out in the middle of the street. And I was taking a little break, and I got too close to the crowd, and I turned around, and somebody grabbed my nuts.
What? What the fuck?
Wow.
Yeah, and I like turned around and looked around real fast. I couldn't see anybody grinning or anything like that. But I was like, holy crap.
So everybody in the UK, keep away from my nuts.
Yeah, so that was a memorable moment. Actually, recently, like last year, I was teaching a class, and big guy comes walking in, and I'm teaching like a private lesson with one of my students, Mike. And this big guy comes in, and I look over at him, and I'm like, oh, this is trouble. This is going to be trouble. And he looks at me, and he's like, are you Daniel Pesina? And I was like, yeah. I thought, okay, somebody finally caught up with me or something like that. And he's like, oh my God, I'm from Germany, and I got a chance to stop in Chicago just for 3 hours, and I raced from O'Hare Airport, which is about an hour away from my school, and came down just to get your autograph. Will you give me your autograph? So I gave a guy the poster, but it was just like, holy cow, out of the blue. It was, yeah, in the afternoon, some fan just popped in.
I actually, you know what? Do you got the show itself on, or are you just on Skype right now?
Right now, I am just on Skype.
All right, because if you go to a site, twitch.tv, it'll be archived also on YouTube. I'm going to put up a picture, actually, that I got. George, keep asking questions. I'm going to dig for this picture. I actually got an original, actually, I got two originals. I got your autograph on a Mortal Kombat 1 shirt from the first CES, which I believe, I can't remember if it was in Chicago or Vegas.
Yeah.
Or if it was the Vegas one. I can't remember which one it was. I got an original shirt still, so that's 20 years old now, because it is the 20th anniversary of this. And I also got a picture, I believe. So, George, you keep asking questions. I'm going to step away.
All right. Next question. This is from... All right, this is from... what's his name here? Marvel's Capcom 3 is for kids. He says, MK is a man's game. Why no one in MK 1 and 2 have hair on their chest? If so, send pics.
What? Can you repeat that? I'm sorry.
He asks, MK is a man's game. Why no one in MK 1 or 2 have hair on their chests? If so, send a pic.
Man, that's a good question. Actually, Rich has hair, is a pretty hairy guy. Divisio, who did Kano. So he has a little hair going on, but basically I think, and my brother also has a little hair going on, but he's got to wear the Raiden costume. So, and Liz has, no hair going on. So I think the people who had hair got covered up, and it is a man's game.
Damn right, it is. All right. Next question. From Original Razor again. He says, what does the MK community mean to you?
A lot, man. Yeah, they made me famous. So, yeah, I'm indebted to them.
Definitely.
All right, George, if you could see on the cam there.
Oh, man, he's breaking it out.
That's an original Acclaim Mortal Kombat shirt, which has got all the people who played characters in the game. Obviously, Daniel has the most because he played the most characters. But you can see Boone. What do we got here? Everybody signed their name as the character, though.
That's a lot of names.
You got Johnny Cage signed it the biggest, actually. Actually, no, he got Cage Rules. John Tobias. You got Kano. You got Sonya. Fatality, Ed Boon. Actually, that was my line. How do you take that? And then you got Raiden Pesina. He didn't. He wanted to make sure everybody knew that there was another Pesina in the game.
Yeah.
But yeah, let me ask you this. What do you think about this whole, let's say, the UFC thing now? I mean, do you follow it? Do you condone it? Are you against it? Or do you just, because I know, like I said, when I watch, when I've seen your competitions, it's more of the art of fighting as compared to the actual, one-on-one duking it out. So what's your opinion of all the UFC?
I really like it. I don't know that many of the people's the athletes' names anymore. But every time we get a chance, the guys from the school and some of the MK guys, we get together and watch it. It's really cool to watch. I think it's good for the art, but a lot of people confuse it with the actual real fighting. In real fighting, there's no rules. So you need rules for safety. Those guys are great athletes, but you pull out the rules and the fighting gets really, really different.
Now, I mean, obviously, I'm sure you've seen it from, I guess, UFC 1 back in the Gracie days.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I'll go back as far as UFC 1 when Gracie fought 9 fights in a night, as compared to now of it being more structured, almost like boxing. I guess it was for the licensing issue of getting licensed in states. They had to conform a lot of rules to it. But when you compare your style to other styles out there, how does it compare up? I mean, I know everybody says their style's the best style. I mean, wushu, explain what wushu is to some of these people, because even I personally, I know I believe it's a form of kung fu, or is it actually just another word for kung fu?
Actually, yeah, you're correct. It's wushu means martial art. So in China, when you say, you do Korean wushu, they're talking about, maybe Taekwondo or Tang Soo Do. So wushu actually means martial art. Kung fu is skill and time. So anything with the skill. So if you're really good at programming, you have kung fu. As far as martial arts, they are really all the same. There's only a certain way you can make a fist without getting it broken. So, and there's only certain ways to kick. It's just a strategy. What is your strategy? Wushu or kung fu, as whatever you want to call it, because it's just a name, is over 2,000 years old, and at one time probably killed more people than World War I, World War II, the Vietnam War, the Korean War, all these wars, because they were actually fighting with each other with this stuff to the death for about 1,800 years.
Now, as far as I mean, like how the movies portray, at least the whole martial arts. I mean, whenever you watch any of these the Hong Kong movies, they always portray like all these separate schools. Is there any like in Chicago? Like, does your school have quote unquote like rivalries with other schools? Where, I mean, even if it's on the competitive side, where where basically there is that I guess that aura of the Hong Kong movies, or is it pretty much just, hey, we're here to compete, and that's it?
Yeah, actually in America it's pretty tame. I would say in China, even up to recently, sometimes it could be like the Wild West, where you meet people who are conflicted, or it's about egos. You know what? I could beat your butt. Oh yeah? Let's see. Well, let's go somewhere where nobody will bother us. And they just do it.
So now let me ask you this. Have you done that? You don't seem, I will say this, you don't seem the aggressor, but I mean, like you were saying before with your story with the guy coming into the place to get your autograph, it almost sounded like the scene of Karate Kid, where, it's just coming in there to start with you. Have you gotten that?
Well, I'm going to say, actually, yes, but it's not like people think it's actually like, you're going to have this long, dramatic, drawn-out fight. It's been, I used to bounce, and I've been in a couple of altercations with other people, but they're usually very short. A lot of people are like, you kick a person in the head. It's more constructive to punch somebody in the elbow, because usually once you get punched in the elbow and it breaks, it pretty much puts you out of commission.
Pretty much just the seeing of your elbow broken is enough to make the fight usually end. I
Yeah.
actually know that too. We won't say how, but I know that too.
Okay, there you go, brother.
George, you got?
And man,
Yeah, I got. Let's see. From this is a question from Ashener. Mr. Pesina, how do you feel about being a video game icon, and when did it first hit you on how big of a deal it was?
it actually feels pretty cool. And thanks to the fans, yeah, you gave me a good feeling. The first time I realized it was going to be big is when we had that convention at McCormick Place, the first one, when Acclaim, James.
Yeah.
You guys hired me to do like a 2 or 3 hour autograph session, and I got a small group together, and we were going to go do 2 or 3 hours, and you guys wound up hiring us for like 6 hours or something like that. It was crazy. We left with people still standing in line for an autograph. It was just nuts.
Damn.
Yeah, it was that. I got to admit, it was pretty intense back then. It definitely. I mean, the crowds that would build up around it and around you guys is amazing. I mean, and like I said, I mean, these people that are in the stream right now, once again, they've flooded us with questions. I mean, he's going to Original Razor. Original Razor's already gave him about like 20 questions. So, I mean, everybody, especially Johnny Cage, because that's the character I think a lot of these people relate to. And basically, the fact that you've played a multiple amount of characters, Sonya, Kerry and Elizabeth are Sonya. That's it at the end of the day. You've gone the whole reptile, scorpion, Sub-Zero. So nobody can really, unless you picked a girl character, and I hate to admit it. And you know what? I'm going to get your opinion on this. When Boone designs this game, do you think girls should be as strong as they are portrayed in this game?
I'm gonna say yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you know what? Because in actual combat, if you give a girl a sword and you have a sword, you're a little bit stronger. You're still in pretty much. You could be in trouble.
Yeah, but how about shot for shot? I mean, can we admit a woman can't take? And now I'm going to sound like a male chauvinist pig. A woman can't take the same shot a guy can.
Right. I would say that would be correct. Though I have some female instructors who they catch you off guard, they'd have you. You'd be dead.
I actually, I was looking up. I got another video I'm going to put on of you in a second. It's a little flashback one, but I wound up coming across a girl who's a wushu instructor in New York who, yeah, she looked like if I seen her in a bar, I wouldn't cross her path. And she did, I guess it's called the tornado kick.
Yeah.
And I got to say, I was impressed. And she was pretty hot too. So it was the best of both worlds. But when I seen her do it with the force that she put into it, I mean, straight up, I would be on the floor. Once I went in the air, I'd come back down on the ground. I could already say that. But, in certain cases, I got to say, female fighters in the video game world have always gotten that little edge, which is speed compared to power. Cage, which was kind of a balance of both of them. That's what always made him a good character, is the fact that he was... Now, do you find... in a fight, beyond avoiding a fight, I'm a man of peace, to be honest. But if I'm put in a situation, I would rather speed than I would strength. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I agree. And in real life, men are faster and stronger. So, yeah, I would have to agree with you that overall, hand to hand, it is. A guy, has the advantage.
All right, George, you got...
Yeah. Shit, man. I got like more than 20 questions, guys. Guys, you don't have to repeat some of their questions. I do see them. I'm gonna get to them one by one. Just you got to give me some time. Just trying to go through order of everybody who's sending the questions.
Hold on, monkey charm. I'm not saying put the woman in the kitchen.
All right. This is a question from one man, 3 letters. He asks, who is the top 5 people living or dead you would like to nut punch?
The top 5. Oh man, I don't.
Living or dead?
I have 5, but I'm not gonna say them publicly. So that way, if I ever do it, you guys will just know.
All right, good answer there.
I would have 5, yeah.
All right, next question is... shit, man. All right, here we go. From AZ Oronos, he asks, have you ever picked up chicks as Johnny Cage?
Man, not as Johnny Cage, but probably because I was Johnny Cage, yeah.
Nice.
Do you ever walk around with those sunglasses?
You know what? Pretty much, if I put on sunglasses, I look like Johnny Cage. They don't even have to be like the sports sunglasses. You know, I get that comment all the time. If I'm wearing sunglasses and somebody looks at me, they're like, "Holy cow, you're Johnny Cage." I was like, "Yep."
How often does somebody come up to you? I mean, like, are you walking down the street? I mean, especially being from Chicago, you know, knowing the game was born there. I mean, do you get at least like one person, 2 people every day that says, "Oh my God, that's Johnny Cage walking down the street," or is it so bad that you got to run like you're the Beatles?
No, not anymore. But before, I even like when I was on a vacation a couple times, just people come up to me, "Are you Johnny Cage?" But now lately, no, maybe once in a while. You know, if I'm in a store, they might look at me if I have this, especially if I have the glasses on. They'll just stare at me, and I was like, "You okay?" And they'll be like, "Are you Daniel Pesina?" And I'm like, "Holy cow, they know my name."
I'm gonna hold on a second. I'm gonna run this, and I'll let you know what it. I'll tell you. Actually, you'll hear it, and you'll know what it is.
What do we got here?
Something bad.
Johnny Cage.
I
No contest.
This is the. I believe it was the game show that you and Elizabeth did.
My name is Daniel Pesina. I played Johnny Cage,
over in England.
Yep.
Sub-Zero, Scorpion.
That's awesome.
And also the bonus character Reptile. I have a black belt and judo. Also,
Is
I
it
have
video or just
black
audio?
sash and
It's both,
Kung Fu
video.
7-star print mantis,
we have no
and
video.
also a black
We got the logo
mustache
on.
and Wushu.
My name is Hosung Pak. I
Oh,
am
wait,
an actor
you know what? I
in
didn't
real
do
life.
the
I
transition
play a
because I'm a
character named
moron.
Liu Kang. And Liu Kang is
I have a black belt and judo. Johnny Cage,
There you
Sub-Zero,
go.
Scorpion, and also the bonus character Reptile. I have a black belt and judo.
Wow, old school.
Also,
Holy
I have black sash and Kung Fu 7-star print mantis, and also a black mustache and Wushu.
my name is Hosung Pak. I am an actor in real life. I play a character named Liu Kang. And Liu Kang is Shaolin monk. And his sole purpose.
Wow, somebody's saying they were 2 years old when this came out.
Ironically, the character I also play.
Man, that makes me. I'm even like, man.
And I'm filming right now in Hong Kong.
I think I was about
My real name is Liz Malecki.
11 when the game came out. It's been 20
a
years now,
female
right?
martial
Yeah, about
artist on
11.
the
20,
last
yeah.
minute. And
Actually, it was
because
20
I had
years
been
in
a
August.
dancer, I was able to pick up certain
Yeah.
elements very quickly.
What happens is
So
we
did you
take
play
each
it at the
character
arcade?
individually.
Oh yeah, I used to go into the
Oh, yeah.
arcades.
And
I
we
used to
take
go into the
the
arcades,
videotape,
and
cut out the
I
character,
literally, because I
feed
got
it into a computer,
the
and,
beta
that way,
versions of it when you
you
guys
play
were still
Mortal
working on
Kombat,
it.
Oh, yeah.
So by the
really
time it
are
came out to the
character and
arcades,
really are doing moves.
I was whooping
And
everybody.
remember,
Oh, you were the master.
Mortal Kombat is totally true to life. Or is that death? Ha!
Oh, there's fresh and funky there for you in the river.
All right, we're gonna fast forward this brick guy. Wow, remember the '90s? These hairdos.
Sure.
Right?
You can, yeah. You enjoy
Oh,
good
wow.
Mortal Kombat.
He's got like the Duran Duran mullet going on.
Yeah. Okay. Okay then.
Hungry like the
you
wolf.
see Johnny Cage and Sonya battling out on Mortal Kombat. Stay with us until after the break.
Game Master. See, this was the greatest part about back in the day. You had TV shows that actually were fun to watch. Let's get to this part, which is not good for you.
Are you ready,
This is your loss.
Then start your challenge.
Yeah, she beat my ass good.
in the courtyard there now. For everybody at home, the energy bars at the top of the screen are what counts.
Started out strong though with the jump kick.
Wow, you guys finished your own character too nice.
Great special movement, Sonya. That was a flip kick there. And
Wow, this is really taking an OG over here.
Brilliant play. What can Johnny do about next? He's just taking an energy wave as well. He's got it. Oh, but that's a great throw by Johnny.
After 20 years, it still hurts.
You know, if you were in New York, I would have trained you.
Oh, come on, Johnny.
I would have did better.
Yes, Sonia wins the first round. Johnny Cage in the first round. Play by Sonia there. Okay, Johnny's
Wow, she's playing up to the crowd. Wow, you know what? What was it like on that show? Was that crowd really that intense? I mean, it looks like something out of Escape from New York.
It was packed. I'm telling you, it was packed. We would go to places, it would be packed. It's like I couldn't even believe it. I'm like, what are we doing? You know what I mean? It was just like, holy cow, it's really, you know, it was really something to see a lot of fans.
Oh, she does a fatality to you and everything.
Wow.
Did you ever see that show, Tosh.0?
Oh, yeah.
All right, well, I'm going to give you we got to get Elizabeth, we got to give you a web redemption to get you a rematch on that.
Yep. You got to do a man show.
Get that salty run back.
Well, don't worry about it. Sonia, are you pleased with your victory?
Yes. That's what he gets for being so cocky.
Absolutely. That's what you get for being so cocky.
No, neither was I. Absolutely. It was
Get
a
over
fantastic
here.
victory, almost flawless. Sonia, this means that you're our first celebrity to win the Games Masters Golden Joystick!
She gets the Oscar, man. That's not right.
It's all right.
Okay, guys. So basically, that's Johnny Cage back in, I believe that's got to be like 93, 94. Yeah, that TV show was Game Masters. It was a UK show. George, you got some more questions, I'm sure.
Oh, yes. All right. Next one is from OBS Salavia. He asks, Pesina, ask him if he is still recognized as the original Johnny Cage to this day.
Yep. Still recognized.
When's the last time someone recognized you as Johnny Cage?
Maybe 6 weeks ago in Trader Joe's.
Wow. And what happened? Like when it happened?
I was paying for my groceries, and the guy looked at me, and he goes, "You know what? You ever do any kung fu?" And I was like, "Yeah, I do a little kung fu." And I looked at him odd, like, and he goes, "Anybody ever tell you look like Johnny Cage?" And I started laughing. This guy's like maybe like 40 years old.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's not like a young guy. It's like an older guy. And I started laughing. And I was like, "Yeah, that was a past life of mine." And he was like, "Wow, man." And he was just so excited. He was like, "Man, you guys were such a big part of my life. I remember playing in my basement with my friends, and we'd do this." And yeah, like I said, the fans are really good. Fans are strong.
All right. Next question. This is from Sans Power. He asks if he thinks MK was better with John Tobias on the team.
Oh yeah, it was John's baby. I always thought, even John's a good friend of mine. I always thought that John was the driving force. He was really. I did an interview once, and I called John the Paul McCartney of MK, where he'd give credit to us all, but man, he really came up with a lot of stuff. He worked his ass off for that. He created a lot.
All right.
Are you still talking to John, or?
Yeah.
What's he been doing these days?
He has been writing a script for some fantasy movie.
Speaking of movies, what's the story with Press Start? Are you in the sequel?
No, I'm not in the sequel. But, yeah, he just a fan came out of the blue and said, "Hey, will you shoot a movie with me?" And I was like, "Well, I don't want to spend any of my own time or money, but, if I could help you out, I will." And he showed up in Chicago, and we went and filmed the movie.
I got a question. Actually, I just went across the OBS ones from Gimmick, Mr. Pesina. Why aren't you cast in the Expendables? You are tougher than any of those actors, even Chuck Norris.
That's awesome. Yeah, they should have, but my personality would have dominated them all.
Okay. What do we got?
All right. Let me ask this one here from Prez919. Do you think submission moves should be incorporated into MK?
I think they can be incorporated into MK. I would not put them in as fatalities. I would have put them in as maybe a way to, not now that they're not coin operated games. I would say if you took one submission and you put your opponent in it and you stole his energy, and then after a few minutes it would break and you would have more on your life bar and he would have less. So you can, even if you're dying and you put a submission guy, you can come back and be like, okay, I could fight a little bit longer because I stole your energy, your life bar. So I would put it that way. Yeah, I think so. Yes, I think there's room for it.
All right. Next question. It's another question from Sans Power. He asks if MK should go back to the old style or continue in the direction it's going at right now.
It should continue. It should kind of incorporate like what we spoke about the submission moves, or kind of make it. It's got to change to attract a crowd. Otherwise, too much of the same thing gets boring.
All right, I got one from Sands, which is if Bruce Lee, in your opinion, if Bruce Lee was to enter the UFC, would he be the dominant force?
No, because Bruce Lee would not fight with rules. So if he poked your eye out,
that's it.
He would get disqualified, but you would not have an eyeball.
From Red Rum, Jean-Claude Van Damme. Do you think you could beat him up in real life?
I like Van Damme, but yeah, I'd have to defeat him.
Yeah, I can definitely see that.
Yeah, I'd have to. It'd be a flawless victory.
I liked him, and then he kind of got a little shady with the partying and getting wacky, and then he did that JCVD movie, and I kind of got a new respect for him again because it was more of a real side to him.
Yeah, I agree, James. I agree.
But he did get cast in Expendables.
Right.
All right. Next question from Original Razor. If given the chance, would you work on another Mortal Kombat with NetherRealm Studios?
Huh. Well, under the right circumstances, yeah, maybe. Yeah. I like those guys.
All right. From Zato 1984, he asks, Cage from MK2 versus Cage versus MK9. Who will win and why?
Cage MK2 because that's me. And what better reason?
Well, you got one problem, because your version of Cage can't punch himself in the nuts, but MK9 Cage can punch girls and guys and himself in the nuts. So you lose that move.
Yeah, but I'd never get into that move.
All right, next question here. From Sans Power again, he asks, what Tobias and Edwin were like, and which one was more chill or impatient?
Actually, they're both pretty chilled and kind of, but since we knew John more, John would be like, okay, guys, stop goofing around. We got to get some work done. Because we would be goofing around all the time. we'd be some of the stuff that we were doing didn't make the game for a particular reason. You know, we'd get all kinds of crazy.
All right. Next question here, from Perez 919. Do your students in your school wear a sash as opposed to a belt?
No, my school is kind of old school. The belt system was made, I think, by the Danish about 70 years ago. So it's not even associated with the Asian martial arts.
Really, I never knew that.
Yeah, it's only and so it's not really the old way. Usually, your actions. You know, if you enter my school and the guy is really good, well, you know, he's been there a long time. And if you enter the school and he's kind of like a beginner, it's because he's a beginner. Yeah. So the belts really, we don't wear belts.
Okay. This one is now from Original Razor again. He asks, do you have any regrets?
No, it plays out how it's going to play out, and no stewing over anything that you do. You just got to take, if you make your bed, you have to lie in it. And no regrets.
Okay.
Here's is there any little cages running around?
No little cages running around.
No little cages.
All
right. All right, I got another question from Prez 919 again. He asks, if you could add a favorite strike or throw from your training to Johnny Cage's move list, what would it be? Good question. I like that one.
Yeah, I would say there's a particular style that like this guy made up because he was handcuffed. And they have some moves where you actually wrap the guy in a handcuff and kind of beat him with your fist. And they're really cool to actually see. So I would add something like that in there. Some kind of, I pick up a chain or a piece of rope and tie you up and then pummel you with my fists while strangling you. It sounds kind of violent, but it would fit in with this theme.
It would fit. It definitely would fit. Was there any characters that they had you shoot for that like never came to fruition? That like they said, hey, we want you to be this, and then later down the road you come to find out that the character just went MIA.
No. Lots of moves and lots of for Rich DeVizio when he was doing Baraka. They have an original head that it just looked kind of. It didn't fit his body, so they cut it and decided to try to go with something else. But yeah. Same thing with Parrish and his Jax. It started one way and went a different way later.
Did you have you seen the YouTube movies that the shorts that they ran? What's his name?
I've seen a couple of them.
Did you see the Cage version?
I saw part of Cage, and I wish they would have got a more martial art, like somebody with a little bit more
skill,
personalized martial arts rather than it just looked like regular martial arts, like a
street fight.
Yeah. It should have. I thought it should have been more like stylized. Because if you're gonna do a martial art movie, you kind of have to have some kind of charismatic martial art, I think.
All right, next question I have here from Sub-Zero Smoke Rye. He asks, did you expect Midway to go under like it did, or did no one foresee it coming?
Well, I don't work for the company, but I understand that they were spending like crazy. So, I don't think the management was as good as it could be. I think, Warner Brothers runs a tighter ship, and that's why they're successful. And I think, these guys were in a smaller, coming from a smaller spot and thought, that with minimal investment, they could, run a company forever. So I would say, a lot of people seen it coming.
Yeah, I definitely. I mean, coming from the acclaim background, going out and buying planes and 10 buildings when you only got 100 employees and walking around the town like you're the next Microsoft is never good. I kind of saw the writing on the wall for that, and I saw it on for Midway as well. To me, it's when it comes to games, a lack of quality for their other projects may have not have been the greatest of games, and you can only take so many of those hits. So keep that in mind, Capcom, with your Street Fighters and Street Fighter Cross Tekkens. Eventually, you're not making any more money.
Yeah, I agree, James, 100%.
All right. Next question from Mortal Kombat Guru. He said, "Did parents ever give you stick? Did they ever give you stick because of violence in the games?"
Well, not really, because again, as everybody knows, it started out as an arcade game. When you're in the arcade, you pretty much have your, it's not like a 9-year-old. You drop a 9-year-old off at an arcade. You're 13, 14. You're a little more mature, so you can handle the blood a little bit better. I think when it went home, it was a little shocking. But if you're raised okay, you know the difference between real and acting.
All right. Zato8 1984 wants to know, coming from a wushu master, what do you think about Taekwondo as far as an art?
Taekwondo's cool. I like it. I like the kicks. That's Philip On's art. Philip is a Taekwondo guy.
Yeah.
So yeah, and again, I really believe that all martial arts are the same. It's just the strategy and how long you've studied it and your openness to keep learning.
I mean, I dabbled. I never, I was like your brothers. I took it to a point, and then I was like, I got enough. And also, growing up, my pop was like, you're skipping classes. That's it. You're out. But I mean, I got to say that whole Jackie Chan with the drunken style. That's something I like. It's just there's something about incorporating. Just every day, should I say, an everyday life event into some kind of style, and make it look like such a valid fighting style. I mean, even though you see it in the movies more than you do anywhere else, it just seems like a style that I can kind of vibe with, especially being that I like to hit the sauce once in a while.
Yep, actually, yeah, I learned some of that in China, and to teach it, they would take you out drinking first, so that way, like falling down drunk. And then, you do a few moves, and then your whole test was to show up the next day all hungover, and you would learn this stuff where you're falling all over and off balance. But it was, it's a valid art, and it's very formidable. It's not like, oh, I'd never fall for that. It's a good martial art.
Now, as far as you go, I mean, I watched. I think it was on Discovery Channel at one time, and they were getting into the science of all the arts, and they had a guy that studied praying mantis, tiger. As far as you go, where would you put your expertise?
I would put in China, I've been told that I was the best non-Chinese martial artist they've ever seen.
Wow.
So I've studied a lot, and, I don't mean to, in martial arts you learn to be humble, but so as far as that, yes, I've been where they're like, oh, we taught a lot of Americans, or, we taught a lot of, French, or, we've taught a lot of foreigners, and they see me and they're like, holy cow. Usually they don't give me credit. They're like, who's your instructor? And I tell them who my instructor is, and they'd be like, wow, your instructor's really good. He can teach a non-Chinese guy to be really good at martial arts. And I would be like, wow, thanks. But yeah.
All right. I don't have a question here, but I got a statement from. This is coming from Gerchop, the owner of Mortal Kombat United. He says, Daniel, please. He wants to thank you. He fell in love with Mortal Kombat series because of MK1 and he made Johnny Cage because I thought he was cool and I was only 13 at the time.
Oh, cool! Thank you. Awesome.
Next question. This comes from Original Razor. He asks, if you could give the listeners one piece of advice for their future, what would it be, and what's in the future for Daniel Johnny Cage Pesina?
If I would give a piece of advice, I would tell them to create their dream and get that out there and do it. It's cool to play video games, but maybe they should jump out there and actually make a video game, even if nobody buys it or anything like that. Try to get some kind of creative endeavor. Whether you're whatever art form it is. I would say get a hold of, do something. So with me, I try to learn a little something every day. It keeps life going. Get to interact with people. It's good stuff. Yeah, enjoy life.
All right.
All right, I got one from Zato 1984. In your opinion, what's the best martial artist at the moment in the movies? Michael White, Donnie Yen, Tony Jaa, Scott Adkins, or somebody else?
I would say right now, I really like Donnie Yen. He's still out there doing his stuff. Jet Li is pretty good, but he's kind of tamed it down a little bit. But Donnie Yen is still, he's that same age and he's still going at it. Tony Jaa I like a lot, but he's a young guy, so young guys can go forever.
Yeah, I gotta say, I like Jai too. What was his movies with the elephants? I forgot what the name of it was.
Yeah, Protector.
That was a great flick.
Yeah, he does some awesome stunts and stuff like that. But I like him a lot. But Donnie Yen's old already.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's awesome.
If you were to ever do a solo movie starring Daniel Pesina, and it was going to be a martial arts movie, what would you want it to revolve around, as far as the theme?
I would say Unsurmountable Odds. Something with, I like the martial art movies where, the hero actually dies at the end. I think it's a little more realistic because, you live by the sword, you die by the sword. So I'd have it some kind of thing, and in the end, the hero dies.
I got a personal question here. Let me ask a question. What do you prefer better in martial arts movies? Do you prefer the overseas ones from China and Japan, or the US made ones?
I like the ones from China. Like we were talking about, when you watch Tony Jaa, those guys are really falling, and they're really, when they get kicked or get elbowed in the head, they're really taking it. They're tough, and the action is a little more realistic because nothing is held back. Here in the States, we're worried about, you're worried about, oh my God, I won't be able to make another movie. They're like, okay, this is my one shot, to make a name for myself. I'm going to go balls out. So, in Thailand and in China, yeah, they're going for it. So I really enjoy those movies.
All right.
What do you think of Cynthia Rothrock?
I know Cynthia. She's cool.
Oh, you actually know her, Noah?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
What as far as her and her movies compared to, once again, I'm showing my age, so there's a question for me. I know a lot of these people probably don't even know who she is, but I thought she was great in the movies, and I thought her martial arts was pretty good.
Yeah, I agree. I like her in the movies, and when I competed, she competed in the same circuit that I did. So yeah. Even the times that I talked to her, she's cool. She's down to earth. Yeah.
And do you think she was? And I never really got the answer to this. I'm assuming that that's pretty much who Sonya was modeled after.
Maybe a little bit. It would never really brought up like that. We threw a female in the game just because at the time we were trying to expand the market for females to spend their money at an arcade. So, we needed a female character.
Oh, I'm getting back. Go ahead, George. I got to check this.
All right. I just lost my place here. All right. This is from Sub-Zero Smoke Rye. He asks, even though you aren't a fighting gamer, are there any series that stood out to you as being more true to form?
Yeah, offhand I can't remember it, but it had like the guy it had people doing particular styles. Like one woman with white hair would do Pequot, there was an older guy doing Xingyi, and there was a guy doing Drunken. I forget what the name of the video game was.
Virtual Fighter? I think it's old man doing Drunken.
Yeah, like
bald and Asian guy?
No, it was like I can't forget the name of it. You'd be able to pick the background and fight in different backgrounds, and they did make a movie out of it, I think.
That might have been Tekken.
Yeah, I think it was Tekken.
Tekken have a drunken style? I don't know.
Yeah, first one did, right?
I'm trying to remember. Did Tekken have a drunken style, George?
I think someone had a Drunken Fist style, if I remember right.
I thought yeah, that's right. Drunken Fist was the Jackie Chan
saying,
guy.
Lee Wang.
Yeah. Yep. That was the Jackie Chan character.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, that was cool. Because when I watched it, I was like, wow, they're actually doing, some of the styles, signature moves in it. So it was impressive. It was cool. Somebody was thinking. It's always good to see that stuff for. People are into the art.
All right. From MK Gimmick, do you follow any sports besides martial arts? If so, what's your favorite team?
I'm from Chicago, so Dub Bears. Yeah, I follow baseball a little bit. It's more like a social thing for me. I like to go out with, the guys, have some beers, watch a little bit of sports, and just, talk, see what's going on. BS,
The manly stuff.
Yep.
All right. From Marvel's Capcom 3 is for kids. He asks, how long did it take to make MK1 and MK2 separately?
I think the first one took about 8 or 9 months, but again, we shot a lot of film for Cage. We shot, I would say, at least maybe 6-7 hours of just Cage, because he was going to be we were trying to figure out what moves would work on a video camera because it's only 2-dimensional. So, we didn't want to repeat a lot of stuff. If you threw a one kick, it might look funny. Just because it couldn't get the whole movement. So the first one took, I think it felt like the first one took longer.
All right.
So I hope I answered his question and didn't go off on a tangent.
All right. From Prez919, have you ever had a competition of strength come down to the test of might like the MK games, aka board breaking?
Actually, when I was in, I did Praying Mantis Kung Fu, and the guy I was taking lessons from was he was a badass, and so the test was literally 3 days, 3 6-hour days long, and at the end you were exhausted, and the final part was to break a coconut with a chop, and if the coconut, you put it on the floor, if you don't hit it right, it'll spin out. It's round, and so
it hurt.
Well, you did the iron palm. You'd train. You'd hit like gravel and ball bearings. So my hands were pretty hard.
All right.
But the whole thing is that you're pretty exhausted. You're beat to crap. At one time he was a realistic guy, so he'd put you at one end of the room, and everybody in the other end, and everybody in the school at the other end, and your job was to make it across, and people could do whatever they want to you, So he was a little crazy, but yeah. So even after that, it was like, okay, the final test is to test your might. You got to break this coconut, and yeah, I did it. It was it was crazy.
All right. Next question. This is coming from Revolver. He wants to know, what do you think about Injustice and the direction NetherRealm Studios is heading with that game?
I've only seen a little bit of it, and it looks really cool. I don't know what my brother's working on it, and so are a couple of my other students. But I really don't know the direction it's going to. But like I said, the artwork and the way it looks like it's going to play, it looks really cool.
Now, in that game, like, I assume you're familiar with the DC characters, correct?
Yes.
All right. Out of that game, who seems the most interesting so far?
Man, I am. As far as DC, I'm a big Batman fan naturally. Because Superman can't really be defeated as long as he's on Earth. But yeah. So, so it's hard to say. It's hard to say. I'm going to give it a little more time.
All right.
And I'll get back to you guys on that one.
All right. This is a question from Albo63. How much of Cage's character and fighting style was based on your own, and how much from other inspirations?
Cage's fighting style was, well, at the time we were doing Cage, at the beginning, he really didn't have a fighting style because we were trying to figure out what worked. So any of the little nuances were added later, like, him putting, well, actually, at the beginning, he did put on the sunglasses and kind of wave high, and we used that later. But, I think it was just like, I think working on the game under that environment lets you create it as you saw it needed. So I wouldn't say it was one particular style. It was just a conglomerate of different stuff needed for the game.
Okay. From Original Razor, he asks, do you have any fond memories with John Tobias?
Fond memories of John Tobias. I think when John was in college, we were driving out to do a movie in a forest preserve, and I remember like we were gonna turn into the forest preserve, and some car decided to pass us. And so he totaled John's car, and man, I felt so bad for him. But you know what? We grew really tight after that because of the whole traumatic experience of not knowing. We were like, holy cow, he destroyed like the camera we had and all this stuff, and it made us tight. So that, even though it was kind of a tragic memory for his car, but he did get a new car. It was kind of like under tragic circumstances, John, Carlos, and Rich and myself, we grew really close at that time because it was like, your whole life flashes before you, and you were with these guys, so you all of a sudden it's like, holy cow, we always remember that, and we're like thankful to be alive and kind of always remind each other of that.
All right.
I gotta ask this question from Mike Monkey Chime, just because I want to see if you even answer this one. Who would win in a fight, John Tobias or Ed Boon?
John Tobias would win. I actually, they both did a little bit of martial arts with me, and John seemed to pick it up. Even though they both picked it up pretty quick, but as I recall, John Tobias was not afraid to kick or punch the focus mitt super hard. So I would say he's a little more ballsy. He'd win in a fight.
I could see that. Boone seems a little bit more passive.
Yeah.
All right. Question from Prez919 again. Do you think the capital of Thailand should be changed to Bangkok? Should be changed from Bangkok to Johnny Cage Johnny Cage split punch.
Oh, that's funny. I would. It doesn't Bangkok mean that?
I'm, to be honest, not even sure.
No, it doesn't. But it sounded like a good joke.
From wow, what is his name here? From G13 Flat Knife. Asks Daniel if pressure points in fight. He asks is I'm sorry. He asks if pressure points in fighting is real.
Oh yeah, somebody in a pressure point, they really feel it, you know?
Yeah, I've actually used a couple of those.
There you go. They come in handy, right, James?
They stop a fight very fast.
Yeah, yeah. It's like getting punched in the nuts.
That's the one major pressure point on your body right there.
Yep.
All right. I got a question from Mortal Kombat Guru. Could you see NetherRealm doing another game with digitized characters, and would you star in one?
Like I said, yeah. If they were gonna do it, well, I don't know. Digitized. They do all they do it all with the new technology. So I don't know if it would play out well. Plus, the artwork would probably take longer. So, I don't think they'd actually do it. But I think I'd do another game with NetherRealms. Yeah.
At this point, though, would you have to be Shang Tsung, or can you still be Johnny Cage?
I could still be Johnny Cage.
All right. Question from Sub-Zero Smoke Rye again. When MK2 came around, do you expect them to go crazy with the palette swaps with including Noob Saibot Smoke and so on?
Yeah, we kind of figured something like that would happen, just because, like James was saying, when the game has to get done, you have to get it done. And if we promised a lot of characters, so we already filmed a lot for the ninjas, so it was just easy conversion.
See, the good thing now about the technology also that wasn't there back in the day is now you got DLCs where, you could film 100 characters, release a game with, 20 of them, and sell external characters for download that you just add to the game as you go on now. They put Freddy Krueger in now, Kenshi, Scarlet, Kratos from God of War. So, I mean... Well, he was actually in it, but who was the fourth guy that they DLC'd? George?
Scarlet.
No, Scarlet, Kenshi, Freddy, and one more, ain't there? Rain, that's right. You should have played Rain, too.
Yeah. Yeah, but those are good, the technology allows for that. You could get the game going and add as you go. Kind of like with Halo, you different battlefields and keep the fans going.
All right. Question from Sans Power. What do you think about the Easter eggs in the game, like babies, friendships, and etc.? And besides Johnny Cage, which character do you like the best?
I actually like Raiden the best, and he's my brother, but I still like that character, that whole Raiden character, lightning, and he's kind of a god like that. And the babalities, man, we were goofing around a lot, and I think that was one of the products of that, of filming and just doing crazy stuff. As I said before, there in Mortal Kombat 1, one time we filmed like Raiden when he flies across. All of a sudden, Rich was dressed as Kano, and when Carlos was laying on the floor, Rich jumped on Carlos's back and was like surfing on Raiden to make like a really crazy like fatality move. But it never came up. But it was like we would do like crazy things like that,
Have you ever have they ever completed fatalities that you'd seen that never actually came out? where it was completed?
The completed? No, I don't think. I don't because they were the last ones. No, we filmed some crazy stuff, but at that point, you're putting in the fatalities. It's really crunch time. You have to get this. That's the last part of the whole game. So a lot of times, there's no time to waste.
All right. Now let me ask. I had someone ask earlier, which he didn't send me a message, but I'll try to read the question. Where did it go? Where did it go? Where did it go? This is why I don't read questions from the chat, guys. Send them on Twitter. Send them on Twitter. I don't even see it right now. Where the heck? I just saw it a second ago. No, I don't even see it on it anymore. All right, forget that question. All right, I got another one over here. From Sub-Zero Smoke Ride. Did you guys ever finish all characters' intros in MK1, and were they only able to make cages?
I think we did intros for Cage, Raiden, and Kano. And then all of a sudden we realized how much memory it would take and how much work it would take to do intros like that. And so we stopped filming for the rest of the characters. So yeah, only those three had intros where we would do a bunch of stuff.
I got a question here actually for George. Actually, it's for me. James, are you concerned that your producer George is going to be snatched away by Good Morning America for his superior skills? No, I won't. I'm not worried about that because he's loyal.
Where did you see that question?
In the chat. In the chat, Baruch Goldstein asked it. Without him, this show can't happen. Keep that in mind.
Uh-oh. They better not offer him the big money.
What do we got here? Johnny Cage is Frank Dukes from Bloodsport, and Jax is Curtis Jackson from American Ninja, and the MK tournament is from Enter the Dragon. And then Big Trouble Little China is Raiden. Is that? I could agree with a lot of that. I could say there was a lot of inspiration.
Yeah, I agree with most, but I think Bloodsport was out already.
You know what? I don't think it was at the time.
Yeah, I don't think that was out at the time. I thought it was something else. But anyway, well, a lot of inspiration from different parts, like putting together like the fantasy baseball team. It's like putting something together like that.
All right. I got a question from Original Razor. He said, "What or who inspires Daniel Pesina?"
Actually, my dad inspires me. My dad's like this peaceful, calm guy who always gets stuff done, and he's always been a hero figure to me. And it's kind of weird because you don't see a lot of in rougher times you don't hear a lot of guys liking their dad. But yeah, my dad inspired me.
All right. From Marvel's Capcom 3 is for kids. With programs like Photoshop and After Effects, do you think MK1 and 2 would have more characters with designing being easier?
I don't. I think it's not the amount of characters. It's just the creative endeavor, the creative ideas that you have to put into a game to make it different is the reason why they don't have a lot of characters. If they had like 3 years to shoot the game, sure, they can make tons of characters, but things go in 3 years, as James knows, in 3 years things go cold. You start a game, and if it doesn't get out, then all of a sudden there's 5 games out like it, and your game is not unique anymore. So you don't have that time. I think the time thing is why there's not a lot of characters. So even if they have more tools, it's still, it's that crunch time.
Now, let me ask a question. What made them decide to add babalities in the game?
Babalities, we didn't. We would goof around with friendships, but I have no idea who really came up with Babalities. That was more of the. That was more of kind of like probably the programming art group that did that. You know, like I said, with the friendships, we were goofing around and be like, oh, that'd be really cool. You know, especially Hosung would be doing these crazy ass dances when he was, you know, filming. And then at one time, you know, I think it was Ed who looked at him and said, oh, that would be pretty cool if we had like that, where he came out like a friendship like that. And then, you know, that's how that came up. And, you know, I think that came up outside of the recording studio.
Now, when they digitized the babies, did they actually use real babies and dress them up, or was that just something completely hand done?
No, that's all art. That's all Tobias.
And that's all Tobias did? That was pretty good looking art.
Yeah, he's really good. I'm telling you, he's really good.
Because it actually looks like digitized babies on there, just dressed up in, you know, little reptile outfits and Melina outfit and, you know, all that kind of crazy stuff. And it's kind of interesting seeing all that stuff.
Yeah, man. Yeah, John is really good.
All right.
I got a question for Mr. I Got Bass. With all your martial arts skills back in the 80s, were you a breakdancer?
Yeah, I did a little bit. Heck.
See that? I'm not the only one rocking the windmills.
Right? that was it back then, you know?
He got me. He sent me a link, I guess, about a week ago for Nucleus. They did that song "Jam on It."
Yeah.
And it put me in flashback mode, and all of a sudden I'm watching Fat Boys Disorderlies, the movie, on TV again.
Right? Yeah. Get out a piece of linoleum and start breaking.
God, that brings back memories. What do we got? Check out MK1 official comic book by Tobias. They're awesome. Yes. Yeah, if anybody can get their hands on the original MK1 and MK2 comics that Tobias did do, they are pretty solid.
Yeah. Yeah, I still got a couple. Yeah. Even his artwork now, he does some artwork just on his own, and it's really good.
Is he still working with? I know he was working with Josh. And they would, you know, when they left, they started that company. Is that company still functioning or no?
It's hard to say if it still functions or if they do like just some stuff on the side. I know he kind of works on the side, and he wrote a script for a trilogy, for a fantasy movie trilogy, and I think that some production company is going to produce it. So, you know, we've yet to see. That's what I hear. That's what's on the grapevine.
Is he still studying with you at all, or?
No. He's got kids. You know, it breaks away from stuff. You know, we get together. Unfortunately, most of the times when we get together, it's somebody's funeral.
Oh,
you know,
yeah, that's never good.
Yeah, get a little older. That's what happens. We were going to go to, Chicago had Wizard World this weekend.
Yeah.
So it was going to be me, my brother, John, Tony Marquez, who did Kung Lao, Rich Kano, and Jax. We were all going to go and just hang out at the comic book convention incognito. But, all of a sudden, you know, people have to do stuff. It won't, you know, get cut out, man.
You guys got to go do the whole cosplay and go in there and find the ones that are dressing up like you guys and do it. We had last week. We had these guys. They're called the MK Flash Dancers. They basically dress up in New York City, and they'll just walk into a Starbucks with a big old boom box, put on the Mortal Kombat soundtrack, and just start dancing all over the place. And they film it going all over the place. And it'd be really funny to actually have the real MK actors meet the MK Flash Dancers and have a battle.
A dance battle.
I've seen those guys. I think I've seen them guys on YouTube. They look pretty good.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They're really good guys.
Yeah, that was about 2 weeks ago we had them on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd have to nut punch them to win.
So I got to ask you this then. I watched the footage, of you actually doing that shot, and I see you basically going down into that split, and to be quite honest, my nuts start crying. Is it that? I mean, you go down slow, but I mean, if you really needed to, could you get down like? I'm always worried about my groin ripping just with one leg kicking out, and I see you go down and do that split so slow. In a fight, like he was saying earlier, could you actually do that in like a quick pop, or is it something that you got to stretch for a while?
Well, now I have to stretch for a while, but at one time, yeah, I could pretty much do that all day. And you tilt a little backwards, so your ass hits the ground first. But yeah, it's definitely something that I wouldn't recommend everyone working on, but it's possible. The human body is amazing, man.
All right, I got a question from Rolando from Caribbean Video X Games. He asks, is there much use in video games for using live actors for movements, etc., or is everything fully computerized now?
No, they still use actors, They use actors for the basic skeletal, whether they're kicking or running or moving. As you see, the motion captures, human motion, and then you just take your artwork and lay it over it, and it does whatever you want it.
Yeah, I mean, guys, what you got to understand is now with the new technology, the way it works, we'll just use Johnny Cage's nut punch as an example. He could do the move with his body and his frame. They'll strip the animation away from it, and then if you wanted to, you could tie that animation to a guy, let's say, that weighs 400 pounds, that guaranteed he can't do the nut punch, and he'll now be able to do it by taking that skeletal frame and attaching it to that body frame. So, I mean, yeah, there's always going to be a need for actors to be somewhat athletic at the same time as, as to compare to what you were saying earlier about, having the staircase, which, if I remember correctly, the staircase is Melina's airside move, where she's just sitting on the staircase, and they use that animation of her sitting on the staircase and then just remove the stairs, and that's the actual airside move that she does. So yeah, there's always going to be a need for the actors.
All right.
Yep.
Next question now. Where did it go? All right, from Mortal Kombat Guru, are there any Mortal Kombat are there any martial arts actors that you think would have suited MK characters better than those cast in the Mortal Kombat movies?
Yeah, I think all of us. I think that if they would use the original characters for at least one of them, probably the first one, they would have fared a little bit better. But it's their thing.
They really need to do some better characters in the second one. I think the first one had some pretty good cast of characters. That's like Johnny Cage. It should have been played by you.
Thanks.
Next question I got.
Hold on. I gotta say, Mike Monkey Chime, you are like probably the most entertaining guy I've had in the chat tonight. James MK asking why there are 0 Mortal Kombat characters that are Jewish. Really? Kung Lao is totally Jewish. That's what Revolver's saying.
All right. Next question. From Sub-Zero Smoke Rye, he asks, "What is your personal opinion of the Mortal Kombat live tour?"
I never got to see it, so it's hard for me to make a call on it. I don't think it did well. Do you guys remember if it did well?
Nah, it got closed pretty quick. It just it was at a time
like a year.
I don't even think it made it out the year. I think what happened was it was during that time where MK was kind of going on its little downslope, where they were starting to get into the 3D, so it just kind of died off. And fighting games for a little while there started to die off as well. So, I think it did maybe 1 or 2 states it toured. I know it came to New York. I never got to see it either. By the time I tried to see it, it was already gone.
Yeah, we got when we were in when Liz beat me in England. We met with the owner of that the television station and talked about doing like that type of thing back then. We filmed some stuff for her, and even back then it was like kind of like an idea. It's funny how it manifested later, but yeah, that was a long time ago.
Okay. Next one is from Ask Man Chest. He asks, "Can you learn martial arts in a living room without actually taking lessons?"
No. It's a physical thing. It's like saying, "Hey, can I draw something without ever learning how to draw? Or can I swim without touching the water?" You have to get in there and do it.
All right. From Shadow of Sub-Zero Smoke Right, he asks, "When did MK1's development cycle start, and how long did it last?"
Can you say that one more time, George?
He asks, "When did MK1's development cycle start, and how long did it last?"
Man, it lasted. It took a while. We have like from the first meeting when we first met, it was just like a bunch of ideas. They didn't even take it to the owners of Midway at the time. So, they were thinking of approaching them, but they wanted to have everything lined up so that way they can get a complete idea. And then a little while later, we did some stuff for them so they can see a video of us doing stuff. And it was a long process. I think it was over a year. And then once we started going, it was like 8 or 9 months.
Okay. I'm trying to see another question here.
Yep, it's a good one, George.
I'm seeing some repeats here. I'm looking at so many different things at the same time right now. Guys, remember, send more questions to Twitter for Daniel over here. James, ask him a question while I'm looking here. I'm filtering through some of the questions also. I can't ask every single question.
Yeah, no. I got you. Let me ask you this: as far as between your kicks and your punches, do you exert? Because they always say with the one-in punch, you can exert so much power. I mean, do you know, or being a master, as far as how hard you can punch or pounds per square inch? I mean, have you ever been measured? I mean, can you punch a guy once and crack all his ribs?
Never been measured, but breaking ribs is more like it's you have to catch the ribs during a certain time because they're meant to flex. They're protecting your organs, so they're pretty durable. So you'd have to if you catch the person stretched out or extended, you could break a rib. But I could punch pretty hard. I could kick pretty hard too.
Are you one of those guys that kick 160 miles an hour, or?
Man, I don't know. Who knows? I've never been timed. I know when I just barely hit somebody, they're like, "Man, that really hurt."
I mean, I know this. From my personal experience, I've never come across somebody because, that where, I've squared off with them and all of a sudden, they're coming at me with I mean, I've had guys attempt it, but usually it's slow and no for them. They'll come at me with some WWE drop kick, and usually it's actually, ironically, it's a grab to the leg and a punch in the nuts.
Sweet.
But I mean, most of my, I'm sure with you, most of my fights they usually don't go past a minute or two because I'm a smoker. So after 2 minutes, I'm pretty much, pardon my French, I'm shit out of luck and I'm going to get my ass whooped. So you got to take care of business quick.
Yep.
And then plus I got to get back in for my beer in the bar.
Heck yeah.
But I'm not going to keep you much longer because, I mean, it's running around the 12 o'clock mark here. You're always welcome to come on this show. If you ever want to promote anything, like I said, anybody in the Chicago area, go to Chicago Wushu, check it out, sign up. it's one thing. It's great to play the game. It's a better thing to learn it for real. Can you tell James to sign up to your school? I'd love to sign up to his school. I got Matt Serra's gym by my house too, and I said I'm going to sign that. Gerchap wants you to check out, and maybe if you want to sign up, if you're looking to follow the Mortal Kombat games and the community, if you go to MortalKombatUnited.com, and that's a site that, pretty much you'll be worshipped. Why do you like to be on? Wow, what is this? Like I said, guys, I don't censor you, but you got to keep a little couth. And basically, you know what it is? I'm trying to keep it at an adult level, and my show on a normal basis is, I've been told I'm like a Howard Stern. So I've been trying to keep it all civil these days, especially because, like I said, guys, I have other guests. I got Jax coming on next week, and I just let that out of the bag because he's down at GGA tonight, and I got other guests coming as well over the next couple of weeks. But like I said, go to anybody in the Chicago area. Go to the website ChicagoWushu.com. Sign up, and you get to learn from the real deal. George, you have any other questions?
A couple final questions here. From EDC Menace, he asked this question: do you still talk to the guys who play at Kano?
Yeah, I just talked to him on Sunday. Yeah, he's unfortunately he's going through his personal stuff. He's going through a divorce, so it's always tough, Yeah. But calls up and just kind of tell him things are going to be all right,
Well, if he wants, I reached out to him actually too on Facebook. If he wants to get on and vent, this is the place to vent.
Yeah, I'll. He's a little apprehensive sometimes, but I'm going to talk to him and my brother. Get Tony on here,
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, I got Jax. I spoke to Kerry already, and I know she's up in, what is she? I think she's in Minnesota still, or no, she's back down in the Chicago area, I think still. But she's, I spoke to her, so she's looking to come. It's the show's different compared to most shows. I let anything you want to plug, you can plug here. It ain't all. We hit you up with 100 questions, but basically these are your fans. These are the guys that know Daniel Pesina as Johnny Cage, and this is something that not many other shows out there has done. Usually right now the way it works is because Mortal Kombat's become very competitive now. It's actually it's a really competitive game. Major League Gaming picked it up. $30,000. In top prizes for a competition. You hear a lot of people talk about frame data and, this character. I can't do a show where it's 12 hours of talking about the game. As much as I love the game, I'd rather get people to understand that, like you said with the martial arts, get out there and do it. Don't be quote unquote as somebody up in Canada once said, don't be a keyboard warrior. Get out there, do something athletic. I get yelled at by DarKNaTaS because I play soccer every night, and it makes me run late for the show.
Yep.
In my 40s, I still got to go out and do something.
Just not on Tuesdays.
Yeah, well, it's one of my only days I can.
All right. I got a quick last 3 questions here. I'll ask to you. And then, guys, I'll cut off the questions from there. Question is from Assman Chess. He asks, was Ed Boon ever strict on set because he looks pretty laid back?
No, he's never. He'd always like I said, he'd let us goof around a lot. It was John. It would be like sometimes like, man, we're goofing around too much. Let's get to work. So yeah, Ed Boon's very laid back.
All right. From the same guy, he asks, P90X or Zumba?
Zumba. That way you can watch girls instead of guys.
All right, guys. So that question you can knock off now. Now you know what he just said. He wants girls, not guys.
All right, final question here from OBS Salavia. Could you ask him how he was originally selected and contacted to be the martial arts actor to portray the MK characters?
Yeah, John. I've known John for a long time.